friends, let's do a review of my year in the categories of lifestyle and relationships. So I mentioned in my previous video, this is the third or fourth installment. I mentioned in my previous videos that I do my planning and goal setting in 6 categories. Those categories are finance, health, career/business, development, lifestyle, and relationships. A lot of people also do spirituality or religion. These are the 6 categories that I track and set goals for. And so I'm doing my yearly review, and I did a video on how to review your year. I posted that video on December 26th. And then on the 27th, I shared a review of my finances and health. And then on the 28th, I did a review of my career and business goals and my development goals. And today is the next installment. I'm gonna do a review of my 2023 lifestyle and relationship goals. And this is the last video in the series of reviewing our year. Tomorrow's video is going to be how to plan your year. This is my updated annual planning video. I actually posted a video last year, how to plan your year going into 2023. I'll give you a link to that video, but you want the updated one, okay? That will be posted tomorrow. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on alerts so you get notified when we post new content. Okay, let's get into this video. I think it's so important to review your year. I talked about the reasons why in the how to review your year video, but for me, it's so important that I, one, see where I am against my goals, see where my gaps are, but also really get clear on what were some of the habits, what were some of the things that got me there or made me miss the goal. And then of course, like, is this goal even really important to me based on my actions? Do my actions say that this goal is actually a goal for me? Or do my actions say, child, I don't care? And so lifestyle and relationships is the last one for me to review. A lot of people want to understand these 2 categories. So relationships don't have to just be romantic relationships. They could be, they are the relationships with your friends, the relationships with your family, relationships with your coworkers. These are the people in your ecosystem in general. When I set these goals for the year or the month or the quarter or even on a weekly basis, these goals are typically around trying to spend more time with my friends, trying to connect more with my coworkers, or to network a little bit more with people that I've met along the way that have interesting stories or that I want to get to know as well. It also includes trying to date somebody too, like, let's keep it real. And then the lifestyle goals are really things that enhance your life that you're interested in. It could be the books that you want to read, a hobby you want to try out. Traveling is a lifestyle goal. So lifestyle goals are really about enhancing your life. And I think this is a good category because a lot of times we are setting goals that are around finances and health and career and our businesses. And we forget to focus on the goals that actually help us just enjoy our lives. Like, life is for living, y'all. And so I think it's great to have this category. And I love that this is a category I set a goal for every single week. Even if it's, hey, I'm gonna shoot pool at least once this week. I'm gonna set a goal for a week to take myself out to a fancy dinner. Whatever that is, I love that this is a category that I focus on, and I hope it becomes a category that you focus on as well. All right, let's look at my goals. I'm gonna share the goals that I set for the year, and then I'm gonna go over the review. Did I meet the goal? Did I not meet the goal? And then what my assessment is. All right, let's do that. Let's get into it. I actually didn't set a lot of goals for this category. I was real heavy-handed with my career and business goals. Real heavy-handed. But for this particular category, these 2 particular categories, my goals were light. They were light and airy. One of them might have been slightly unrealistic, and it's more of a desired outcome. But anyway, let's, why the preamble, Liv? Just get into it. So the first one I'm gonna hit is my lifestyle goals. So I had 2 stated lifestyle goals that I set. One was to get a style session with my friend Morgan, because one of my desired outcomes was to feel better about how I look, feel better about my outward appearance. One of the things that I noticed coming out of 2022 and into 2023 is that I was having self-esteem and confidence issues because I wasn't happy with my outward appearance. And so one of the things I wanted to be intentional about this year is to pay more attention to my outward appearance and think about what would I like to enhance and change. And one of those things was how I dressed. I really feel like I didn't dress well for my body type. I didn't even know what my body type was, child. And so one of the goals that I set was to get a style session with my friend Morgan Whiter, who owns Morgan Whiter Style. She is a stylist and she's wonderful. She's a genuinely good person to be around and to have around. So that was one of my goals. My second goal was to update my estate documents. Now that's not a sexy, fun goal. It's not something people love to do, but it is a worthy goal and an important one. It's something that I've been avoiding doing for a few years. My will has my bonus son in it, and we lost him in 2019, and I've been avoiding updating it because it means I need to take him out of it. And so it's just been something that's been hard for me to sit down and do for that reason. Also, I have serious fears about death. But I have a will, I have a trust document, I have a power of attorney, I have a power of attorney for medical and a power of attorney for financial, which are things that everybody should have. And they're old because I wrote them, I think in 2018 is the last time I updated them. I've had them ever since I had my daughter. When I found out I was pregnant, I went ahead and wrote a will and started getting these documents. But the last time I updated these, it wasn't 2018, it was 2008. That sounds more right. I did this in 2008. I need to update them because the documents are just out of date because they're just very old, but also unfortunately I do have to update and take my bonus son out of it. So that was one of my goals this year also, is to update my estate documents and my estate plan. Let me tell you why this is important to me also. I know a lot of people run from this type of work because it's uncomfortable. It's not fun to talk about your demise. I have an only child, I have one daughter. And even if I didn't, even if I had more kids, my feeling is when I'm gone, I need it to be as easy as possible for them to be able to just focus on their grief and on coping and getting back to whatever is their new normal. I don't want them having to figure out who gets what to do with my stuff, having to go to court. I want to leave as much handled and taken care of as I possibly can. And for me, that is my act of love to the people that I leave behind. I don't want my daughter trying to figure these things out on her own while she's in the middle of trying to deal with losing her mother, right? Because if things happen the way we all want them to happen, I leave here before she does, right? If things happen the way you hope they do, I leave here before she does. And I think it's so important to have these estate documents in place so that your loved ones aren't trying to figure all this stuff out on their own, okay? So I just want to put that out there. For any of you that don't have a will, you don't have to have all the documents that I have, but at least have a will, right? At least have some instructions for what you want to do, and at least have life insurance. At the very least, please, guys, please, at the very least. And I will drop a link in the description box for a place that you can go and, get a generic will to start with, but I strongly recommend talking to an attorney in your state, because there are some things that are very specific to your state, but then there's also going to be things that are specific to your situation. For example, my situation has changed so much that I have property in another state, and by the end of this year, I should have property in yet another state. And so my estate is going to be very nuanced, and so I need a professional to make sure that this gets handled well, because there's a probate in every different state. And so different things have to happen for my house in Oklahoma versus the house I may end up buying in Tallahassee or things like that, right? So get on it, guys. Get on it. I didn't mean to rant about that, but it is something that I'm actually really passionate about. It's something that my mom has been talking about since I was a little girl, the importance of wills. And we all know that when people in our families pass away, that is the challenge, right? People are fighting over things. There's no life insurance. Nobody can afford to bury them. Leave as your final act of love to your family. Make it as easy as possible for them to deal with what needs to be dealt with. They can focus on grieving and moving into their new normal, okay? On to the relationships. More fun talk, right? Let's move out of the estate planning talk and into some fun stuff. On the relationships category, I only had 3 goals. One of them was to take my mom on a Mother's Day trip to anywhere. I just said anywhere. I wanted to take her to Africa. I wanted to take my mom to Africa, period, for Mother's Day. And I was debating on where to take her, but all I knew is I wanted to take my mom out of the country at the very least and specifically to the continent of Africa because she's never been, for Mother's Day this year. The second goal was to spend time with a friend and or a family member at least once a month. At least once a month. I realized I had become a bit of a hermit after I moved to Tulsa. It had nothing to do with Tulsa. Like, I was hanging out a little bit, but I'll talk a little bit more about the why there in a minute. But I put a goal to actually spend time face to face with a friend or a family member every month. And then my third goal on the relationships, in the relationships category, was to actually get a relationship. I wanted to get a boyfriend. I literally put get a boyfriend. I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is like a goal every year. And if you watch my How to Plan Your Year video, I talk about staying away from things that you don't control as goals. Get a boyfriend is a desired outcome. That's not the goal. I just didn't feel like breaking down the goals. The goals there would be things like get on the dating apps, stay active on the dating apps on a regular basis, go to events and meet people, you know, ask friends to hook you up with folks. Like, there have to be actionable things that you control. That is what a goal is. A goal is something that you control, you can take action on. The rest is desired outcomes. Get a boyfriend is a desired outcome. I don't have control over that. I can't set that as a goal necessarily. That is something I would love to happen as a result of me doing the things that I have control of. So those are my goals for relationships. Talk about the goals that I met on the lifestyle category. Okay, getting a style session with Morgan, I absolutely did that. I reached out to her and told her that I'm just not feeling myself. I was like, Morgan, I do not feel myself. Like, I don't love the way I look these days. And it's affecting me emotionally. It's affecting my social life because I don't like to go out and all that kind of stuff. So I asked her to schedule a style session, talked to her about what some of my goals were. And we got together, had lunch, went shopping. And I'm gonna tell you something, shopping had stopped being fun. I mean, which is crazy, right? Like, what? Shopping's not fun? Shopping had stopped being fun because I didn't enjoy trying on clothes at all. But Morgan did a really, really great job of giving me clarity into what my body type is, and then showing me, literally talking through and showing me what cuts work well on my body, what cuts don't work well on my body. I am still learning, but box checked. I did a style session with Morgan. I think I want to do another one. I should have done like a summer and winter one with her, but I'm so glad I did it. The second goal was to update my estate documents, and I have not completed that. I am close to done. I've been going through the process of trying to make sure I have all the insurance that I need. I have a friend in Tallahassee who is an estate attorney. We went to high school together, so we are actually meeting in the next couple of weeks to really talk through my estate and go ahead and update some things. There's some housekeeping items I have to do as well, which is, I was following the internet gurus back in the day, and I misunderstood. I misunderstood the guidance behind having an irrevocable trust, listening to some podcaster or something, and I made an irrevocable trust. And so I've got to get everybody in that irrevocable trust to sign an affidavit saying they're comfortable with me dissolving it. Details. Anyway, I have a little bit of work to do to update my estate documents. I will tell you some other things that I'm trying to do around my estate documents is take it a step further. So again, I mentioned 4 documents: will, a trust, and I'll tell you why you need a trust and why I trust in just a second. A will, a trust, a power of attorney for medical, and a power of attorney for financial. So a will, you guys know what a will does. It really just gives people instructions on where you want to leave things. How do you want your burial to be? Do you want a funeral? Things like that. Who gets what? All of that. A trust is actually something that you can use to bypass probate and probate taxes. So for instance, I own a house. When I pass away, that house doesn't go directly to my daughter. It goes to probate court. Then they take a little tax off the top, and then they confirm that my daughter is the right person to go to. So the court actually will give it to my daughter, not me. To bypass the court taking that probate tax off of my house, off of that asset before giving it to my daughter, I can make the beneficiary of that house or the owner of that house a trust. And so it never goes to probate because it doesn't go directly to my daughter, it goes to the trust, and she becomes a beneficiary of that trust. Long story short, look it up on YouTube, guys. Just don't get an irrevocable trust. Just don't do that. Unless it makes sense for you, doesn't make sense for me. And then power of attorney for medical is if you become incapacitated for any reason, someone can make decisions. You have someone designated to make decisions for you and your medical health. If you become incapacitated for any reason, and power of attorney for financial is if you become incapacitated for any reason, you have someone designated to make financial decisions. So for instance, let's say something bad happened and you became incapacitated. I'm saying that really fast. Let's say that you were unconscious. We'll say it that way. Let's say that you were unconscious and unable to give consent to anything, but the doctors needed to say, yes, we can operate, or the doctors needed to make a decision between two options, someone to make a decision between two options. You can have someone designated to make that decision. Without that, it kind of pretty much just falls to your next of kin or your closest relative. Like if you're married, it's your spouse, that kind of thing. But maybe you don't want that person to make those decisions. I'm a single person. It would fall to my daughter. I really wouldn't want my daughter having to make those decisions. And so I can designate someone that I trust to make those decisions for me. And she is aware of that, right? And this person is someone that I trust to consult with her and make sure she's comfortable. But I don't want my daughter to have that kind of burden in the event that I'm unable to make those decisions. And then on the financial side, let's say that someone needs to access bank accounts. Someone needs to go get access to money because somebody got to pay my rent and my mortgage, or someone needs to give my daughter some money to take care of some things. And I'm not able to do that. The person that has my power of attorney can go to my bank with that document and make withdrawals and or make decisions about my finance. Thankfully, I have the same best friends I've had since I was 8 years old. So I trust them with my life and my daughter's life, and they are my powers of attorney. So those are the 4 documents you gotta have. I am actually also thinking about my life insurance policies and do I have enough life insurance? Because I've accumulated more assets since I bought my life insurance policy, my existing life insurance policy. So I'm just trying to make sure I have enough coverage to take care of the debt on my current house. And so I'm really doing a reassessment of, do I currently have enough life insurance to cover the liabilities that I have and to take care of my daughter to the point from, today to the point where I believe she should be able to take care of herself. So the next thing that I'm doing is filling out an advance directive that gives very specific instructions on what should be done if you, for instance, have to have a tracheotomy, which is that tube they put in your neck. If you have to be on a feeding tube, would you rather they pull the plug, stuff like that. So I'm filling out an advance directive to provide to my power of attorney for medical so that they don't have to figure out if they made the right or wrong decision. I already told them, here's what you do, girl. Don't even worry about it. Go on, pull the plug. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. But I want to relieve the burden on my loved ones of having to worry if they made the right decisions, if they did what I would want them to do. I'm gonna go ahead and try to tell them. So I'm filling out an advance directive. And the last thing I'm doing is creating this landing page in Notion to provide to my daughter and my closest friends with access to everything that they need and specific instructions. Like I left there's a video on there for my daughter, and there's gonna be a lot to do, but here's the first 5 things you do. And then there's a list of things to do before the funeral services or memorial services, whatever she decides to do. Here's what you do the week after, 1 week after, 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, all the way to, I think I went to 6 weeks. And it's stuff like, one week after, I told her to log into my SkyMiles account and use up all my SkyMiles. Book her a ticket. Don't even tell Delta I'm gone. Just go on, get them SkyMiles, girl, and go somewhere. Book you a flight, take a trip. Self-care. She's an only child and she's a bit of a loner. And so I don't want her to have to deal with all of this alone. I want to make it as easy as possible. And it's tough to say that because I don't think this is easy, but I don't want her to have the added burden of trying to figure this stuff out on her own. And so I'm taking that estate documents a step further and trying to build out some instructions for her. I'm happy to share some resources for how you can do that as well if you're interested. I would say the goals that I missed, I'm gonna call this estate document a goal that I missed because I don't think I'm gonna have it complete by the end of the year, but I am very, very close to having it complete. And if I did a gap assessment of why it's not done, I think I've just honestly been avoiding it. I've been avoiding it for 3 years. I talking about death in this way, in a way that it's like boxes checked, project planning, is not difficult for me. Typically, it's not usually difficult for me. The difficult thing is that I also need to do this for my daughter. And that is difficult, especially given the fact that we lost Jaden a few years ago. And having to take Jaden out of my will is tough. Like, it's not something I want to do. I read through it earlier this year and broke down crying. I couldn't do it. And so it's just been procrastination. Like, I don't have any real deep insights into why I haven't finished updating my documents. I will say that I'm a little bit glad that I waited, because I didn't realize that my friend from high school was an estate attorney. And it makes me feel even better that I can work through this with someone that I've known almost my whole life and somebody that I trust. And I can name her the executor of my estate and my will, or my trustee. And I know she'll take care of my daughter and my family if she's, still around as well. And so I'm glad it worked out the way that it did, but I don't really have any deep insights as to why it hasn't been done. I just haven't gotten around to it, y'all. That's it. That's all I got on that one. All right, what are some of my lifestyle accomplishments that weren't even on my list, my goal list? I'll say one lifestyle accomplishment that was not on my goal list was going to Egypt. That was a huge opportunity that came to me that I absolutely jumped at the chance to take advantage of. And did not expect to go to Egypt. It wasn't on my list for next year. I was thinking about taking my mom there for Mother's Day, but really, really cool experience. I went with No Madness Travel Tribe, which is a travel community for travelers of color. I went and helped to run and facilitate one of their trips. I actually went like a week early so I could hang out by myself. So I did a solo trip to Egypt first, and then facilitated a group trip and had an amazing time. 2, I hit platinum status on Marriott. Oh, so I just got into having status a few years ago. Wasn't my thing. I wasn't loyal to an airline. I wasn't loyal to a hotel. Child, whoever got the deal, I'm there. Like, just give me the deal. But I have become bougie and really love the perks that come along with having status. I've been platinum with Delta for 3 years. I'll still be platinum next year, and I think I have enough MQMs, if you know what that is, to extend my platinum status through 2025 as well. So love that. And now I have platinum status with Marriott. I had gold last year, but now I have platinum status. I would say this is a lifestyle thing and an accomplishment, because that means I can check out at 4 or 5 p.m. if I want to. I get automatic upgrades. I get a gift. I get like 500 bonus points just for checking into the hotel. I get, I think, 50% extra points. So I'm really excited about it. I love the perks. I have fully bought into the rewards programs, okay? Platinum on Marriott, platinum on Delta. I'm a platinum girl, okay? What are some things that I learned or realized about myself this year through, as it relates to lifestyle? I realized that while I was in Tulsa in 2022, I realized that I had become very isolated and closed off, and I was really unhappy. And I feel like I didn't really have friends there, which isn't true. I want to be very clear, it's not true. There's people in Tulsa that I adore and love, but I admittedly did not leave the house very much. So I didn't spend a lot of time. I didn't spend as much time as I typically would have with a lot of the people in Tulsa who were welcoming me as a friend. And I do regret that, but I realized that the reason was because I didn't like the way I looked. And getting dressed to go somewhere became such a huge emotion drain. Just the fact of trying clothes on and it not fitting or it not looking right. You know, by the time you try on the 3rd outfit, like, your morale is like way down here. And that whole process of just trying to find something that I felt at least comfortable in to walk out the door just became so emotionally draining that I just stayed in the house a lot of the time. I stayed in the house a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I hung out. I did hang out. I did go out and hang out with people because I'm a very, very social extrovert. So like, I need to hang out with people. but it just was not as much as I normally would at all. It just really wasn't, and I was unhappy. And so I realized that I was avoiding going out and hanging out with people and doing things, and I was leaning heavily into work. Like, I gotta work on stuff. I'm running a business, I'm trying to do this. I was leaning into that as a reason or excuse not to go out, because I just didn't like going through the process of getting dressed. I really didn't. Like, it made me sad, it made me angry. I didn't feel confident, and by the time I would figure it out, it was like, figure out something to just throw on. It was like, so I started wearing pretty much the same stuff every time I went somewhere. Like, I know this is gonna be decent and it will make me feel fine. Or I would work really hard to find something that felt like it looked good on me and it felt like it was stylish and cute. It would just be a huge chore and an emotional drain. So that's something I realized and learned about myself this year. It's gotten better, so don't cry for me, Argentina. It's gotten better. And I am, I did the style session with Morgan, and I've been a lot more intentional about, making sure I feel good about myself when I leave the house. I think in some cases I was leaving the house, like to run errands to the store and the Target or whatever, looking a hot mess because I didn't want to care, because caring resulted in me feeling bad, right? Because I didn't have the right clothes, or I didn't know what to put on myself, or I didn't fit my clothes anymore. I was still trying to dress my old body that I have not had in like 5 years, 6 years, whatever. I haven't had it in a while. And so now I think the latter part of the year, especially after having that session with Morgan and just conversations I've had with my girlfriends, I've been leaning more into being intentional about making sure I feel good about myself when I leave the house, and being honest about the things that look good on me, and repeating those silhouettes. And I have my staple outfits that I wear. So y'all might see me wearing the same thing on a regular basis. I probably wear the same 6 or 7 outfits. Y'all will be all right. Y'all will be all right. About the relationship review. Let's do a review of my relationship goals real fast. All right, the taking my mom on a trip. Check, I did it. We went to Cape Town, South Africa, and oh my God, what an amazing experience. It was one of the best moments of this year for me. One of the best moments of the year. So glad I did that. Very proud of myself, very happy for my mother. And now I want to take her on a trip every year, I did spend time with a friend or family member every month, which was great, especially because this year I got to actually spend serious time with friends because I've been homeless. So I've been like staying with friends. I went and stayed with my friend Sejal in Austin for a whole week. I stayed with my friend Noelle in Chicago for 2 weeks. It's just been really, really cool to be able to spend that kind of time with your friends. It's great to go out to a bar or go out to dinner, but there's a whole different kind of platonic intimacy that comes with sitting on the couch in your fuzzy socks and a t-shirt and no bra and just talking and watching TV. There's just a whole different kind of platonic intimacy that comes along with that. And I'm very, very glad that I got to experience that this year. So I will say being able to spend time with a friend or a family member every month has been wonderful. And then get a boyfriend. Again, did not do that. The gap assessment there. Child, I don't know. I don't even much know, y'all. I'll be honest, I am not good at dating apps. I'm just not good at it. And I don't mean not good, like I don't know what to say. I'm not good because I'll connect with someone, I'll say something, like on Bumble, I'll say something witty and smart, and they'll say something back to me. And then I barely come back to the app. It's me, I am the problem. I am my own problem, don't get me wrong. I'm not the only problem though, because some of these dudes just be coming in, sliding your DMs or your inbox with some wild stuff. So I just have not been very consistent on the apps. And I have met a lot of guys in person this year, but unfortunately most of them have been married, and I don't date married men, so there's that. Something I accomplished this year that was not on my goal list. I mean, I don't know if I'd call this an accomplishment. I'm going to for purposes of this conversation, but I don't know if I can't say that I feel like it's an accomplishment. I'm gonna say something wild. I hope my mama ain't watching this. Anyway, I have been celibate this year, intentionally. Celibate. One thing I realized about myself this year is that I was not in an emotional space to handle casual sex. And so I made the determination that I would not have sex unless I was seriously dating somebody, in a relationship, stuff like that. So it's been an interesting celibate year. I don't know if I'd call that accomplishment. Personally, I would call it an accomplishment that I was very self-aware, very honest with myself, and chose to opt out of something that I knew was hurting me. That is an accomplishment. Something else I learned about myself this year, I already said that I hate dating apps. I'm better in person, y'all. I just am. Meet me in person. I'm so much fun to talk to. I just don't like dating apps for so many reasons. I don't even need to list them all right here. You guys already know. My biggest problem with the dating apps is that we all disqualify one another on the most trivial things. And that's all of us. And it's hard not to, right? Because we are sifting through there's tens of thousands of people. There's thousands of people to sift through every day. And so you gotta have some kind of criteria to get rid of them and narrow it down, right? And so we start getting rid of people on trivial stuff. So that is the biggest thing I hate about dating apps. Anyway, those were my goals and my review for my lifestyle and relationships category. And I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found it slightly entertaining as well. I'm gonna post some useful resources here, but also check for tomorrow's video where I'm going to share an updated version of how to plan your year for 2024. Do me another favor, go ahead and subscribe and turn on alerts so you get notified when I post more videos, and like it if you liked it. I'll see y'all in the next video.